Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another book review. Today, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin and Black America by Isiah Jackson. This book review is going to be a little bit different than what I typically do because I'm not going to do a lot of textual analysis. I'm going to more so focus on the ideas within the book. I'm going to focus on the historical context of the book. I'm going to talk about this moment in time that Isiah published this book and why it's so important, and also talk about Isiah himself and what he's done and what this book means not only to me but to the larger Bitcoin community and hopefully one day the larger Black community. And by one day, I mean now, right? And that's one of the things that I really liked about Jackson's book is that he focuses on the immediacy of right now. He focuses on what we can do to start implementing ideas and start pushing forward, the acceptance and the social benefits of Bitcoin. And a lot of people who are Bitcoiners, no coiners often look at us as crazy people who just want to make money and get rich, and we think that we're going to get rich off Bitcoin. But the people who end up staying around, people who learn about Bitcoin, the people who are emotionally invested in the project, including Isiah himself, right? You learn that these are people who they're not motivated entirely by profit. Yes, they want to make money, right? But a lot of these people are motivated by higher ideals. They're motivated by the potential reform I always pause whenever I talk in sort of high-minded abstracts because it's really hard to connect with people without talking about concrete, right? And Isiah does a good job of the concrete. I liked in the beginning of the book, he kind of goes through his history and how he got interested in Bitcoin, and how he learned about it through Max Kaiser, how he kind of brushed it off. But I'm going to read one little paragraph, and I think that this will resonate. It resonated with me. I'm sure it will resonate with other Bitcoiners and other people. My girlfriend at the time, who was privy to my struggles financially, would inquire, "If it's so great, why aren't you rich yet?" My uncle, who worked for a bank, shunned my business proposition to purchase Bitcoin ATMs in 2015 because of, quote, unnecessary risk involved. Friends I had known for years looked at me differently because they associated Bitcoin with illicit activity due to the Silk Road exchange being shut down. I even had coworkers state, "Well, if you're still working here, it must not be that great." It was safe to say I was once again tested on this new technology and realized I don't care. I really liked that. I really liked the introduction, the beginning of this book, where he shares his story about, how he first learned about Bitcoin, how he was working as a teacher, and he was, him and his roommate at the time decided they needed to start trying to invest, and they wanted to be smart with their money, and stumbled into Bitcoin some way, somehow, right? And it's over the last 3-4 years that he's been in Bitcoin, it's obviously worked out well for him. But Isiah gets into the politics of banking in America. And he gets into the mistreatment of Blacks by financial institutions historically. And, people who are watching this, no one's going to be surprised to hear or to learn about the exploitation of Blacks, about, the disenfranchisement of the Black community, and how payday lenders have taken advantage of it, how Black people have historically had more difficult times getting mortgages or getting access to housing in certain locations due to redlining or, predatory lending practices, discrimination on interest rates due to race, right? And these are things that many of us don't not know, right? Like we know this almost innately, have an innate understanding of how we've been mistreated. Yesterday, I did a book review by a gentleman named Tim Todd, who writes for the Federal Reserve Kansas branch, right? And the title of the book is called "Let Us Put Our Money Together." I encourage you guys to go watch that video where I talk about, and Todd talks about, sort of the history of Blacks and banking in America. And it's interesting to think about. It wasn't less than 150 years ago that Blacks were collateral at banks for lending. and the struggles that we've had of, not only getting access to capital, but also trusting government with our money and trusting financial institutions with our money. And one of the first black banks, quote unquote, was a bank called the Freedmen's Institute, or Freedmen Savings and Trust Co. And it was established through some kind of weird charter of Congress. They didn't have to play by all the same banking rules as regular banks, right? So they got like some kind of gray area that they operated in, and they were funded by the government, and the government encouraged blacks and would, actively try to get people in the South to put their money, blacks in the South, to put their money in this trust. And they did it to the tune of 1% of black wealth by the time that the institution collapsed and all the depositors lost their money, right? You read in Todd's book as well that over 1/5 of Black America, 1 out of every 5 Black Americans is unbanked, and 1 out of every 3 is underbanked. And this book, Bitcoin in Black America, is a great book for like starters, people who are just learning about Bitcoin, people who, they've been hearing about it. They've been seeing, I can't think of that football player's name. He tweets about it all the time, right? And they're kind of like, man, what's going on here? But it seems like, Kanye's talking about it. Nipsey Hussle has, he's talked about it. Actually, this book is dedicated to Nipsey Hussle. A lot of people see potential, but they don't really quite understand. They don't understand how money works, right? They don't know about the Federal Reserve System. They don't know about fractional reserve banking. They don't know about these things. And a lot of us have faced discrimination. Many black people have faced discrimination walking into banks, how you're treated, right? The way they look at you, the assumptions they make about you because of the way you look. And it's deeply personal to me. It is. It's deeply personal to the degree that I look at a historical lens and I see how the structure of power has coalesced and been structured such that black people always get the short end of the stick, always. And Isiah, he posits that we could be the first adopters of this technology. We could be the ones who claim back our sovereignty. We could be the businesses that start accepting Bitcoin and accepting other forms. I don't actually support any other kind of cryptocurrency except Bitcoin. So let me just put that out there. Isiah does, I don't. But we can start accepting Bitcoin. We can start choosing the financial system that we want to involve ourselves in. And I've made a lot of videos, and I'm sure some people are going to find this is going to be one of the first of my videos that they'll see, but I've made a lot of videos about sovereignty. I've made a lot of videos about, getting to choose your financial community. And I've made a lot of videos about blockchains and cryptocurrencies as sort of digital governance, right? And one thing that tying this all back to Isiah's book, I was very, very pleased whenever I first saw that he was, releasing this book. I wanted to pre-order it. I didn't, but I bought it within the first week that it was released. It's taken me a while to finally make this video, but this book is chock full of ideas, right? It's chock full of immediately implement ideas that could be immediately implemented. I couldn't think of the right word. He talks about putting children in programs that teach them how to code, right? He talks about equality of opportunity and how borderless, permissionless money creates entirely different fundraising mechanisms, right? And it completely changes venture capital and the way people raise money, the way who has access to money, who has access to deep pockets. You don't have to be located in San Francisco anymore in order to have a good idea. You can crowdsource your ideas. You can build unstoppable code. You can build decentralized autonomous organizations and entities that operate outside of the confines of nation states. And it's 2019. We are less than a year away from the next Bitcoin happening. And the whispers are in the air, man. The whispers are in the air. Like the Federal Reserve, they recently dropped interest rates to 2%. The trade war is picking up. Growth is slowing down. Real unemployment, right? The same real unemployment that Trump used to talk about before he was president is increasing. The number of people who aren't seeking jobs. We are living through a shift and rebalancing of our economy and of work and of employment and of skilled labor and unskilled labor. And Bitcoin plays a very important role in this entire narrative. I don't know if it'll become, like some people say, sort of the next reserve currency. It doesn't have to do that, in my opinion. It doesn't have to do that. It simply has to keep doing what it does, which is allow permissionless, unconfiscatable, borderless, censorship-resistant money to exist, to allow people to engage in trade without permission and without intermediaries and people rent-seeking at the expense of putting you more in debt and also disincentivizing you to save. And so I give this book a 5 out of 5. I highly encourage anyone who's new to Bitcoin, who wants to get a better macro understanding of some of the political issues at play, and also what is Bitcoin used for? Like, what can we do with Bitcoin? What use case does Bitcoin have, right? Those type of questions, I think Isiah does a great job answering. And yeah, that's all I got to say about this book. So thank you guys for watching. See you in the next video. If you're new, please subscribe to my channel. Peace.
Law.